Greetings and welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. My name's Steve today, and for tonight's show, I will be your host. Now, as with all Toastmasters meetings, we have prepared speeches, and each speech will be evaluated so the speaker will get some feedback that will help them make the next speech even better than it was tonight. Tonight's evaluator is a veteran Toastmaster named Bill Mine. Bill, can you tell us what to expect tonight from our show?
Thank you, Steve. Toastmasters Time Television is privileged to bring you three marvelous speakers. Our first speaker, Karina, will be speaking about astrology. Our second speaker, Misty, will be speaking about an addictive substance. And our third speaker, Lynn, will be speaking about medical care. Each one of these will be educational and informative. At the end, you'll want to hear more. I'll turn control of the meeting back to your host, Steve.
All right, well, thank you, Bill, and I'll be excited to hear from you later in the show. I'd like to welcome our first speaker, and that's Karina Aragon. Karina, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate having you, and I can't wait to hear your speech. Now, you are with Heart to Heart Toastmasters, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Right. How long have you been in Toastmasters?
I've been in Toastmasters since 2018.
Okay. And what brought you to Toastmasters?
Well, I was just in my house being a little antisocial, and I thought, man, I need to get out and start speaking and getting comfortable in front of the camera. And it really helped with my YouTube channel.
All right. Terrific. And what is your favorite role or activity with Toastmasters?
I would say my newest role I'm really enjoying, which is helping with membership. And so really getting people involved, getting people out of their homes into Toastmasters.
Right. Now, you mentioned your YouTube channel. Is that one of the ways Toastmasters has helped you outside of Toastmasters?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. It has helped a lot. And just doing my presentations and my webinars and all that for my business.
All right. Terrific. Are you ready to give your speech?
I am.
All right. Well, I can't wait to hear it. I'll let you walk over to the speaking area.
Thank you.
Get ready, and I will introduce you.
Okay, great.
Now, Karina is speaking from the Toastmasters Pathways program, Engaging Humor Path, Level 2, Connecting with Your Audience. Karina Aragon, the transformation of humanity and Earth. The transformation of humanity and Earth, Karina Aragon.
History doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes. Famous words of Mark Twain. Hi, I'm Karina, your healing arts astrologer, and I'm here to give you this huge transit that will be happening January 20th of this year. Now, Pluto has been in Capricorn for so long, since 2008, and it will be moving into Aquarius this month, which is huge, and it will be here for 20 years. Now, the reason why I'm giving you this information is because I want you to be more aware of the transformation that is happening in your life and in the lives around you. Now, Pluto in Aquarius is about revolution and change. And it is about, Pluto is the planet of transformation, transmutation, destruction, and renewal. And Aquarius is about rebellion and humanitarian and innovation and intellect, a lot on AI as well. Now, Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. Now, Uranus is about sudden change, revolution. It changes things up, and it awakens. And so we want to be able to watch what Uranus is doing. Now, Uranus is in Taurus right now, so we will be seeing the transformation of our value systems. And we will also see the transformation of our communications, like air. And we will be seeing a transformation in our reality and the collective. Now, this really impacts us as a whole and also individually. We are learning more about who we really are, like our true authentic self. What makes us unique? What makes us stand out from the crowd? And what is our importance in our communities? Community is so important during this transit of Pluto and Aquarius. Now, if we were to look back in history, when Pluto was in Capricorn, in 1775, there was smallpox, and it wiped out the indigenous people in Spaniard quests. And it was like the new world was formed. Well, we just went through very, very similar things with the biggest pandemic of 2020. Now, Pluto will be in Aquarius, where this year, all the way to 2044. But it was in Capricorn during 1778 through 1798 is when Pluto was last in Aquarius. But Pluto being in Capricorn, there was a huge transformation that happened, and more of that we're starting to see. So 2024 to 2044 will be this Pluto in Aquarius. I just wanted to let you guys know of the huge transformations that will be happening within our life and how we can be a part of the change. So how do we be a part of the change is be the change that we want to see in the world. And if you want to learn more, please head over to my YouTube or my website to find out more about how this is affecting you personally. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Karina. We're now going to hear from our evaluator, Bill. And Bill, can you tell us what your impression was of Karina's speech?
Of course. Thank you, Karina, for that wonderfully entertaining speech, that wonderfully educational speech. I admit I knew little about astrology, and I really look forward to hearing much more from you. I will look at your website. I'll look you up and see what I can do to be the change that I should be. This is where I felt the focus of your speech might have been better served, quite honestly. As an evaluator, it's my challenge to help you do better. I would skip past all the dates and get to the change faster so that you can focus more on what we should do. I thought you did a wonderful job in outlining your speech and telling us the key information and setting a stage for the changes to come and convincing us that history does echo and repeat itself, or I'm sorry, it does echo rather than repeating itself. It was a wonderful speech. I really look forward to hearing more, and I especially look forward to hearing the next presentation focusing more on what we can do. Steve, back to you.
All right, well, thank you, Bill, and we'll hear from you later in the show again. So our next speaker is Misty Forsman. Misty, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being here. And to get to know you a little bit, can you tell us what brought you to Toastmasters?
Well, I had been doing my business in publishing for a long time, which was putting other people's ideas out. And it occurred to me that it was time for me to step out from behind the footlights,
All right.
behind the curtains.
All right.
And so I came to Toastmasters.
You came to Toastmasters. And what's been your favorite role or activity with Toastmasters?
Oh, definitely table topics.
Table topics, impromptu speaking. Thinking on your
Impromptu
feet.
speaking, yes.
And how have the activities at Toastmasters helped you outside of Toastmasters?
Well, definitely it makes a difference to anyone who wants to speak. I think the biggest change for me coming out of a science background was to stop starting every sentence with the word so.
So are you ready to speak? I like to have fun things like that. Are you ready to give your speech?
Yes, I am.
All right, terrific. So I can't wait to hear it. And I'll let you walk over to the speaking area and I'll introduce you, your subject, and your project.
Thank
All right?
you.
Terrific. So Misty Forsman is a member of Leaders Worldwide Toastmaster. She's on the presentation mastery path, level 3, persuasive speaking. Misty Forsman, the silent killer. The silent killer. Misty Forsman.
There is among us a silent killer. It makes no sound, but is as lethal as a gun. And what is this? And who is this? It is sugar. Sugar permeates our atmosphere. Life wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, sugar was very difficult to get. Now it's everywhere. How did this happen? Well, at some point, the food industry was pressured into taking the fat out of food. That was supposed to be a healthy endeavor. But they replaced it. And what do you think they replaced it with? Sugar. Now, sugar, it turns out, is 8 times more addictive than heroin, and it's equally addictive to cocaine. Food industry was delighted. More product consumption. That's prepared products that you find in the middle of the supermarket, soft drinks, candy, sugar, everywhere. What's the problem with that? Well, it turns out that sugar can kill you. Literally, if you sat down and ate, depending on your height and weight, 5.5 to almost 6 pounds of sugar, a See's candy box, that would be lethal. The food industry is even more clever than that. Did you know there are 65 names for sugar in the food industry? Now, you might recognize if it says sugar, maybe agave, maybe cane, but would you recognize the word treacle? Here's a clue. Anything ending in O-S-E is sugar. And not only that, you'll find it 4 or 5 times places on the label. In addition, another slick trick is it says no sugar added. Well, maybe the second party to this project was a repackager, and they didn't add any sugar, so they're entitled to write no sugar added. The sugar was added in the first round. Very tricky. Recommendations: head to the fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and the perimeter of the market rather than the middle with the processed foods. Well, what else is wrong with sugar? We have an epidemic of diabetes, not just in this country, but in the world. It's estimated 20% of the world population has diabetes. I read this morning 50% of the US population either has diabetes or they are pre-diabetic. I'd say we have a little problem on our hands. The other things that sugar can cause, well, let me start with an amusing one: wrinkles. Sugar can break down the elastin and other proteins in the skin. The worst part of it, though, is that sugar is implicit in heart disease, diabetes, memory issues, and many, many more. We have a new diagnosis of diabetes 3, which is Alzheimer's and dementia. Sugar is the pathway to those. It is reversible in most cases, or it is stoppable. What to do? Reevaluate what you're buying and what you're eating. Don't become a slave to the sugar trade. Take back the power in your life because you have the ability to do that. Might help you lose a few pounds. Keep yourself out of the coronary issues that are part of the sugar problem. Reignite your life for health. Thank you.
All right, Misty, thank you for the great message and the great call to action. Bill, what was your impression of Misty's speech?
Steve, my impression is that I better listen. I am one of the pre-diabetic people who has a high blood sugar level, so this speech was relevant to me and relevant to much of our audience. I appreciated that her facts were marshaled very well. She gave us a very persuasive speech. My challenge as an evaluator is to help her make this speech better. So Misty, now that you have mastered your content, my challenge to you is to work on colorful delivery. You have opportunities for greater vocal variety and greater gesture to emphasize your points. If you practice this offline, exaggerating gestures, exaggerating vocal variety, you might find ways to push up the volume of the speech so that it gets through to more people. As effective as it was, as persuasive as it was, I encourage you to work on your secondary Toastmaster skills now that you have mastered this speech. It was a wonderful speech, Steve.
All right, well, thank you, Bill. And we'll hear more from you later. Our third speaker is Lynn Fraley. Lynn, welcome to Toastmasters Time.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Well, I appreciate you being here. And what brought you to Toastmasters?
I knew I had messages to give and I wanted to learn a better way of delivering it.
Oh, okay. As far as roles and activities, what has been your favorite role?
I think table topics, because it helps the spontaneity and kind of helps stir some things up sometimes. It's fun.
Okay, great, great. And how is Toastmasters in general, table topics in particular, helped you outside of Toastmasters?
I think outside of Toastmasters, all those activities have just helped me speak more clearly and be more direct with what it is I'm saying.
More clearly and more direct. All right.
Good.
Terrific. Are you ready to give your speech?
I am.
All right. Well, we'll let you get over in the speaking area.
Thank you.
Get yourself set up, and I will introduce your message and your title. So Lynn Fraley is in Heart to Heart Toastmasters on the Visionary Communication Path. Level 3, focus on the positive. Lynn Fraley, how to be your own healthcare advocate. How to be your own healthcare advocate. Lynn Fraley.
Being your own best healthcare advocate's the smartest thing you're ever going to do for your own health and well-being. I've been really fortunate that I was able to spend a lot of time in the healthcare industry. I started as a nurse from an undergraduate program in Detroit, Michigan. I was raised by really wonderful, loving parents and was part of a group of 6 children. So we didn't have a lot of time to fuss about health and about doctors and looking for drug seeking. That was not part of our deal at all. But one of the things I learned early about being a health advocate was being collaborative and not being confrontational. We had a wonderful family physician, and those were the days when everyone was getting tonsillectomies. And I said, I want a tonsillectomy. And my doctor said, you do not need a tonsillectomy. It's ridiculous. If you get rid of your tonsils, what's going to keep you from getting more ill? And I thought, I didn't quite follow the whole discussion, but I got the idea that the body wants to heal and we don't need to take out parts. There aren't any extra parts. I've been in the healthcare industry for more than 30 years, and I've been really privileged to see a great deal of variety and ways that people can advocate for themselves in a really powerful way. I work with clients, and there's three particular areas that I like to help focus on: clarity, courage, and confidence. When it comes to clarity, it's really important to know that the doctors who we see do not have the freedom that we think they do to tell us whatever they want to tell us. They're usually employees, they are managed by boards of medicine, and I'm just talking about doctors, but clearly there are many different healthcare providers. So in terms of being clear, you have to know what the rules are. Do not embarrass your doctor by asking your doctor or your healthcare provider about information that they have no idea about. It's embarrassing. And it's ridiculous too, because how can you expect someone to give you wonderful support and feedback when they don't know anything about something? You go with where you know there'll be expertise, and you work, again, in a collaborative way. Jerry was a colleague, and I worked with him about supporting him and getting questions going with his providers. And he came back and he said he got the best prescription for his glasses that he'd ever had because he followed my advice and follow the guidelines about asking the right questions. It's really important that you do what you need to do to work with your providers. The second area has to do with courage. It's very important that you are courageous. We live with white coats. That's the white coat syndrome. Have you noticed they've been taking them off now, and they have maybe they go by their first names, but we've been taught that we should be following the doctor's orders. It's a heavy programming, actually. Courage comes from the word cœur, the French word for heart. So using your heart energy to support your own health and well-being and engaging with your providers in a way that's powerful is a really wonderful thing to be doing. The third area I really will support people with is having confidence. My best experience of having confidence was working in a maternity ward at a hospital, labor and delivery, and I'm pregnant. And I'm watching these midwife births, and I'm watching my nursing colleagues who work in the area having their babies at home with nurse midwives, and I thought, sounds like a plan to me. It was fantastic. I felt really grateful that I had that. But sometimes you want to borrow confidence so that you can take someone else's experience and follow with it. Not everyone's going to have the opportunity that I had. Being your own best healthcare advocate is a really critical thing to do for your own health and well-being. I learned it early also that some things are out of our control. My mother died at the age of 59. Early. She felt complete. She was tired. She didn't want to be a widow. She didn't want to be ill in her older years. And I thought she could have used a healthcare advocate. And it also taught me that the emotions are strongly connected with physical well-being. So as you're looking for ways to improve your health and well-being, follow guidelines, follow people who can support you. I'm happy to do a complimentary consultation. You can find me on my website, but make sure that you do what you need to do to get the skills you need to have for a good, long, healthy, robust life.
All right, well, thank you, Lynn. That was a fantastic speech and a great message. Bill is with us at the table now. Bill, can you tell us what your impression was with Misty's speech?
Steve, my impression is that this is another speech that I would have benefited from hearing long ago in my life. The older you get, the more connected you are to the healthcare community, and the more this speech is relevant. At age 67, I find that this speech is relevant to me and perhaps relevant to people even at much younger ages. I like that it was well organized, that she had three main points that we could easily remember, and that we had an appeal at the end to contact her if we needed more help. That was all good. Personal stories reinforced her points. I like that as well. My challenge is to find a way for this speech to improve. Lynn, I would give the speech again and again, and I would find ways to bring some of those stories more colorfully to life with some perhaps colorful language, ways to phrase it that are really more attention-getting, and ways that make it personal for us as well as personal for you. Now, I'm short-timed here, so I can't give you very many specific examples, but we can talk later about perhaps how to do that. That, combined with some appropriate vocal variety and gestures interspersed in a more dramatic fashion, might help the speech. You had good gestures, you had good vocal variety, but even when you were talking about an emotional moment, the variety was subdued. So I would encourage you to work on those things in your presentation.
All right. You know what struck me about Lynn's speech was when she was talking about the tonsillectomies, and the doctor said, "We don't have extra parts." And it's like we think about tonsillectomies like just routine, but that really struck me as profound. So anyway, well, thank you for the evaluations and the feedback. What brought you to Toastmasters?
Well, I was working for the Coast Guard as a young man, and I was not so sure I wanted to stay in the Coast Guard, so I joined Toastmasters as a way to expand my social network. And it did expand my social network. I got out of my cloistered Coast Guard community and met other people. In fact, I met my wife in Toastmasters.
All right. Well, terrific. So Toastmasters and romance. We'll end the show there. That's our show for tonight. We appreciate everybody who tuned in to watch the show. We record Toastmaster Time in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are incredibly grateful for our talented staff and our volunteers to make this show possible. If you would like to hear more about Toastmaster Time, please go to toastmastertime.com. Toastmaster Time is sponsored by District 57 Toastmasters. You can find out more about District 57 at d57tm.org. If you would like to know more about Toastmasters in general, please go to toastmasters.org. Thank you, Karina Aragon, Misty Forsman, and Lynn Fraley for the great presentations, and Bill Mine for the professional feedback. We hope you tune in to our next episode of Toastmaster Time, and please consider joining Toastmaster. And of course, keep on talking.